All right, we'd like to call to order our Elmore County Commission work session for Monday, December 12th, 2016. We welcome all of you here tonight. We have a few items we'd like to take care of here at the beginning. We'd like to acknowledge and invite Ms. Katrina Mitchell from the County Extension Coordinator, or the County Extension Coordinator, to come up and introduce the Youth Leadership Elmore County class to us. We're excited to have you all with us today.
Thank you for having us tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to give a slight apology. When I scheduled tonight, I didn't realize it was exam week, so we're missing about half our group because they studied for exams. But this is Youth Leadership Elmore County. This is our 15th year of the program. We have a full class this year. We have 23 students from across the county enrolled, representing all areas of Elmore County. So I would like them to stand up, tell their name and their school that they're with. We'll start with on that end.
My name is Paul White from Buckeye High School. I'm Paul Knight from
Thank you. This is a great group of students, and I got tickled downstairs. They said, "What is the county commission?" I said, "Tonight's a good night to learn." And one thing that I always tell the group is when they've attended this, they've done something the majority of Elmore County adults have not done. So they're looking forward to learn about y'all. And we have a whole new group of commissioners, so it'll be a perfect night to get to learn. Thank y'all for having us.
Great, thank you. And again, we appreciate y'all coming. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to learn some things tonight, and we encourage you after this work session to come up, speak to any of the commissioners, and to learn more about what county government's all about. We'll now move to a special presentation by Jeffrey Stevenson of the Alabama Section Institute of Transportation Engineers. We'd like to invite you to come to the podium, please, sir.
Well, good evening. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight for this very special recognition. My name is Jeff Stevenson, and I'm the leader of the traffic engineering and planning team for Saint Associates up in Birmingham. And I served as the 2015 president of the Alabama section of the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and we call ourselves ALSITE in short. And I served as the chair of the ALSITE Awards Committee in 2016. Each year, ALSITE gives out awards at our annual meeting that takes place in June, and one of those awards is the Transportation Safety Award. That award goes to an individual or individuals who make significant contributions to transportation safety in the state of Alabama over the past year or a period of years. While our goal is to give out awards every year, we only give them out when a suitable candidate is identified as to not affect the integrity of the awards. That was not a concern of ours this past year, and this year's recipient of the ALSITE Transportation Safety Award is Elmore County Engineer Richie Beyer. I'm sure you're very familiar with his contributions to the county from an engineering capacity, so I won't get into the details of all that like us engineers like to do sometimes. I'll just acknowledge a few of many items which attracted ALSITE to Richie and ultimately led our committee to a very easy decision this year. So Richie was a charter member of the Alabama Everyday Counts Committee, which is an initiative of the Federal Highway Administration to basically help speed up projects, rapidly deploy proven but underutilized techniques to enhance safety and reduce congestion, improve sustainability. And through this initiative, there were several pilot projects which were identified that were administered in Elmore County under Richie's leadership. And most of all, Richie is just an all-around leader. I don't have to tell y'all that. You know that in his profession and in the community. I look back at a list of all of our past recipients, and there's really not a lot of city or county engineers that have received this award. I can count them on one hand, actually. So you have one of the good ones. I'm sure you all know that. So if everybody would please join me in recognizing Richie Beyer as this previous year's recipient of the ALSITE Transportation Safety Award. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and congratulations to Richie. We commend you for that. We will now proceed to the regular business portion of our meeting. We review the minutes of the November 28, 2016 Commission meeting. Are there any corrections that need to be made? All right, reviewing the memorandum of warrants for the period of November 19, 2016 through December 10, 2016. Ms. McDuffie.
Chairman, the memorandum of warrants for the period stated equaled $1,699,058.38.
All right, any comments or questions from any of the commissioners? All right, moving to old business. We've had a discussion on the Central Elmore Water and Sewer Authority Board appointment, which is due January 9th, 2017, due to the vacated position by Commissioner Kenny Holt. We've received the following resumes and letters of interest as candidates for this board appointment: Frederick T. Ensland, James B. Harris, David F. Law, Thomas L. Macon III, and Richard M. Roberts. Michael E. Waters is no longer on the list. He is not in the water system there and is not eligible for that board appointment. Are there any comments or questions or discussion from any of the commissioners on how we may proceed as we prepare for the January 9th appointment? I encourage each commissioner to review the information that's been provided to you from each of those individuals and act accordingly as we prepare for that. We also have the 3 EMS board appointments also on January the 9th, 2017. 3 candidates, and there are 3 positions to be appointed: Greg Jones, Lois Pribulik, and Steve Dennis. All 3 are currently serving on the EMS board and have expressed interest in continuing to serve in that appointment. Any discussion on any of those? All right, and the last item of old business, we have discussed and set a date for the public hearing on Monday, January the 23rd, 2017 at 5 p.m. to discuss the petition to vacate the westernmost portion of Bellingrath Road. Any discussion or comments? All right, we'll prepare for that, and we are getting information out to the public regarding that. All right, new business. We will, excuse me, like to invite Mr. Greg Clark from the Central Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission to come forward and to provide us with a brief update on the Crenshaw Village project, which is an ongoing grant matching project with the Elmore County Commission, and in addition to that, providing us with some brief details on the potential recreational grant opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. As it was pointed out, we would like to bring you up to date on your active community development block grant program that is in Crenshaw Village. It's Crenshaw Village Housing Rehab Project. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Leslie York, our Community Development Specialist. She's been managing the project on your behalf. Leslie? Excuse me.
Real quick, spreadsheet kind of where we are with for those of you who are new, this grant was awarded through ADECA. It's a community development block grant, and actually there are 2 separate activities in this project. One is housing rehab, and the other is demolition of some vacant, dilapidated structures. So I thought it'd be good for you just to kind of see an idea of where we are. So far to date, we have completed 12 houses and have 1 currently under construction. The application stated that we were going to assist 16 households and benefit 43 people. So you will see down at the bottom, there is a bit of information to kind of catch you up with where we are. with a CDBG project for housing rehab, you have to spend, no more than $8,500 per beneficiary. So when the project was submitted, based on the number of dollars we had, that cost per beneficiary was a lot lower, and we anticipated benefiting those 43. To date, we've assisted 30, and we have enough funds remaining to probably do 3 or 4 houses. So I included the information down there that basically ADECA will formally amend projects down to that $8,500 per person benefit, which means technically when we get to the end of the project, the most we'll have to benefit is 33. So we are pretty close to that number in general, but you also have funds for demolition. We had an application that there were 4 structures that were coming down. We had one that we could not get the owner to agree to let us demolish it. So for right now, we've got 3 that were just bid under contract for $17,000. So you'll see that I included a note that we'll probably have in the neighborhood of $26,000 that we can reallocate from demolition into housing, which will allow us to do more houses. The project at this point, with respect to the matching dollars, is a little bit behind, and that's because when the application went in and surveys were done within the neighborhood, we had at least one tenant-owned property that said that they were going to participate in the program. Those applications come in at a 50-50 split. So if it's an owner-occupied house, the grant will pay 90% of the cost of rehab. If it's a tenant-occupied, it's a 50-50 grant and homeowner participation. So currently we've got 2 houses. The one that originally in the application said that they would be interested in applying, they have not to date submitted an application, but Cade Gunnels in our office, who is our housing inspector, has actively been pursuing them, along with another house that we did get the application on, but we're struggling a little bit on information out of the tenant and the actual owner of the property. At this point, we feel like the project's going well. It may be just a little slower than we anticipated, and probably after the first of the year, we'll go out and seek applications again because we have actively pursued all the ones that we've got. Typically, when tax time rolls around, people are getting their refund, and so that's a good time for them to be able to provide the match. So with this project, again, I think we're pretty well on track, but we are monitoring the matching funds very closely. You know, absolute worst case scenario, we have had a project where the match was a little bit short, and so we had to adjust the budget so that the local government could provide some money toward administration of the grant to pick up that difference. That's something we'll be looking at real closely as we go into the new year to see how many houses extra we'll be able to pick up, because that, of course, will impact the match.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
Yes, those 2 additional ones that have not submitted the applications yet, are they tenant-owned or privately owned?
It's just one, and it is a tenant-occupied.
Okay.
So we've been in contact with the tenant and the owner, but haven't actually gotten an application, but are hoping after the first of the year, the money situation. That tends to be an issue a lot of times with people, so we're hoping we'll pull them in. And then we do have a rental property on another one that we're pursuing.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Do you have any idea what % of the neighborhood's been refurbished or replaced? Any guess or?
Well, to date we've done 13, or we're working on the 13th house. Greg, do you recall exactly how many? Because our project area was delineated just by 3 streets. So we even have 1 or 2 applications that are outside the project area. If for some reason we can't spend all of the money where we are, then we could again go to ADECA and petition to expand that boundary and pull in some others from other streets.
So basically, 3 streets are being rebuilt with the
Yes,
houses, correct?
yes.
Oh, okay.
A total of 33 is what you anticipate?
That was the beneficiaries. We actually said we were gonna assist 16 households.
Okay.
So we're getting pretty close to that mark, but when we move the money from demolition into housing, we'll be able to look at a little closer at how many additional houses. I would suspect it'd probably be maybe 2.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, thank you very much for the information.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to go over the 2 recreational grants with you as some handouts. The first one is called the Land and Water Conservation Fund Program. The second one is known as Recreational Trails Program. The Land and Water Conservation Program is one of the oldest recreational programs available through the federal government. It is exactly what it stands for, is for conservation of property. You currently have one land and water conservation park currently within Elmore County, and that is the Crenshaw Park. It's a land and water conservation fund project. But these projects, as you can see in the on the first page, up on the upper right-hand corner, it says there's $1.1 million available for the state of Alabama. It's a grant ceiling for a project for $150,000 for federal assistance, and it is required as a 50-50 match. Some of this match can be worked on as in-kind, as the county can provide labor toward the project, or purchasing of materials or other things. The beauty of the Land and Water Conservation program, if you can think of the recreational program that is out there, it can fund almost all sports, even into water trails and water activities, as well as land-based activities. These programs are based, as I have said, to protect property is their key element, but also provide recreational space. So again, these recreational activities can be from lighting of ball fields, playgrounds, sports courts, picnic areas, or any other passive type of recreation or activity. There is a minimum of monies on these. They would like to have projects that are, the minimum federal match is at 50, so overall total project would be $100,000. On the fourth page is the Recreational Trails Program. It is a little different from Land and Water, but it's also based on the conservation of property. But it also does, its primary focus is on recreational trails, hiking trails, walking trails, biking, as well as motorized trails. These are 80% federal dollars and 20% local funds. As you look down at the on the first page, the third paragraph, it's on the maximum grant size. If it's a single-purpose trail, the maximum federal dollars is $70,000. If it is a multi-use trail, it can go up to $200,000. And if it's a motorized trail, it can go up to $500,000. Plus, there is also an educational component that is available for this, for educational projects, anything to promote the safety and protection of the environment. I would like to bring forth these to you, your attention. These come out annually. This is a fairly fast-track process. They have to be, both applications have to be in by January the 6th, and plus there's a public hearing process. I would like to bring this to your attention for this year. If you do not wish to make application this year, this might be something that we can work on in looking at and developing a project application the next fiscal year cycle. Because keep in mind, these grants do occur annually. And also keep in mind, you can only make one application in either or, and once you have an open grant, you cannot make another application until that is finished, complete.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Bauer.
Mr. Chairman, just for y'all's information, the county underwent a recreational study a few years ago with an ARC grant. It's called Outdoor Elmore, and we used that information that came out of that study to kind of guide the investments that are looked at in the county. There's a lot of public involvement during that process, and so we have taken the information that Mr. Clark has talked about and been looking at how it would fit, and I think that what he just said at the end there is very important. I think what we came up with was we would need more time to develop an application for a useful project, and so that would be where we would give you some guidance that you know, there's some very worthy projects that could be done, but it's going to take some time, a lot longer to develop than the 1st of January. So we will get y'all copies of all that to where you can be looking at what had been developed in the past. But we have looked at both of those and attended some of the same ADECA meetings that they're talking about to see what are viable projects to pursue.
All right. Thank you. Any other?
No, so the Crenshaw Village is closed. It's a closed project, and so you are available. You're eligible to apply.
Thank you. Good question. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Those grants available to upgrade existing park facilities or initial construction only?
These can be upgraded, existing parks. They can actually go into an older land and water park and upgrade it, because the feds understand that park facilities deteriorate over time and they need to be upgraded.
Thank you.
And one thing I do want to bring up to you, once you go back into a park and upgrade it under the federal guidelines, you have to look at the whole complex and bring the whole thing up to current standards. So I just want to make that clear.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. All right, is Mr. Wayne Cumby here from Windy Ridge Road? All right, we will proceed to consider the Pitney Bowes Synpro P1000 postage machine contract, which has been made available to each of you. Are any comments or questions?
I'll just say that this is our 5-year lease on the current Pitney Bowes mail machine is expiring the end of this quarter. We pay this on a quarterly basis, so the new machine is approximately the same price as the one we've had the last 5 years. The compatible with the service, so it's just a formality of upgrading the machinery.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions? All right, discuss the budget amendment for the Sheriff's Discretionary Fund. Ms. McDuffie, could you shed some light on that for us?
This money comes from a $5 additional fee charged by the circuit clerk for district court and circuit court cases. Other than small claims, it goes into a fund to be used for the purpose of law enforcement by the sheriff with the approval of the commission, and he is requesting a vehicle to be purchased out of this money. The discussion was not, it wasn't mentioned that he needed something like this during budget. So the reason we are needing the budget amendment is it was not budgeted formally in the FY17 budget. So he's requesting money to do that now.
So it's my understanding that this money is in his discretionary fund that is specifically for the purchase of vehicles?
For the use of law enforcement.
For law enforcement?
Yes, and this is a law enforcement vehicle, yes.
All right. Any comments or questions?
How much money is in the account? I can get that information to you. I do not have that figure in front of me.
Are there sufficient funds for the
Yes.
purchase of the vehicle?
Yes, yes, sir.
And this is his discretionary account?
Yes. with the approval.
You already had a price on the vehicle?
Yes, he has,
You have no fund in there, but you don't know how much fund is in it?
we made the transfer and there was enough money in the account, yes.
Yes, sir. All right, consider ratifying the appointment of Greg Willis to represent the city of Wetumpka on the Elmore County Emergency Medical Services Board. Mr. Jones, this is...
Commissioners, this is just a matter of housekeeping for the EMS board. All of the municipal appointments will send their appointments that they make from the city or town councils to the commission to be ratified for their appointment as per that contract states, or the compact, I should say. So this is just a matter of housekeeping.
Yes, sir.
They made this appointment last week at their council meeting, city council meeting.
All right, any comments, questions?
Mr. Jones, does each municipality have one appointment, or does that vary?
Each participating municipality, yes, sir, there are 5 of them. It's the city of Wetumpka, city of Tallahassee, town of Cusata, Elmore, and Deatsville. Those 5 participate in the EMS compact with the county. And so each of them get a representative that they can appoint from their jurisdiction to represent them on that board.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on, consider the fiscal year 2016 additional EMPG funding for Certified Local Emergency Manager certification, the cooperative grant agreement. Mr. Jones?
Yes, gentlemen, this was a cooperative grant agreement that was brought to the County Commission back in September. And Ms. McDuffie and I discussed it. With it being so late in the fiscal year, we said that we would basically carry the funds over that were approved then for us to carry into FY17. These funds, it's about right at $12,000 even, that we got an additional allocation for having a certified local emergency manager. These funds we're requesting to be utilized for upgrades with some communications equipment and audiovisual equipment in the EOC. And we're just asking now that a budget amendment be made that this $12,000 be added to our emergency management grants line. Isn't that correct, Ms. McDuffie? Okay.
Increase to the EMA federal grants and expenditures for the EMA grants for mapping, equipment display, and communications.
And like I say, with it coming in so late in the fiscal year, to get the grant closed out, we could not have gotten the grant approved and then the funds expended in that fiscal year. So we wanted to carry it all forward to the next fiscal year for the accounting purpose, so that we only have one audit we have to go through with it.
So am I understanding correctly that the grant was applied for in fiscal year 16, but we were credited the funds in fiscal year 17, and you're requesting to expend those funds in this year?
That's correct.
All right, any comments, questions? All right, moving on to the consent docket. We have approval of the travel memorandum. Any comments or questions regarding travel memorandum?
Commissioner Stubbs, I'd like to be added to the travel memorandum to go to the national conference starting February 24th.
All right, and we'll address that now. I would like to consider that any of the commissioners, due to us being sworn in and this turnaround time being so short and us not having a meeting later this month in December, are there any commissioners that are in opposition to us opening this up to any commissioners who would like to complete that process of submitting that travel information for the NACO conference? Anyone in opposition of opening it up to all 4 of us? Business session. All right. Anybody in opposition to putting that on the business session? All right. We have the approval of the 80 hours sick leave donation from David Henderson to Douglas Cole Cousins. Approval of 40 hours sick leave donation from Chris Hancock to Douglas Cole Cousins. And approval of FMLA request for Katie Carey, tag clerk. Those are all items on the consent docket. Anything to need to be pulled to discuss?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, moving on to personnel notifications. Notification of resignation of Kayla Clark, Corrections Officer, effective 12/2/2016. We'll now move to reports to the Commission. County Administrator's Report, Ms. McDuffie.
Yes, Chairman, Commission. Last week I attended the ACCA Legislative Conference, 2 days last week, Wednesday and Thursday. It was a preview of the ACCA's 2017 legislative platform, which I have a handout. If you didn't receive one, I'll be glad to make you a copy of it. Included with the legislative conference was the ACCA Administrative Board meeting. And of special interest of some of the things that they went over to administrators was a couple of things. The mental health and Medicaid inmates, the cost of the county for mental health and Medicaid inmates. The way that it's working now is when an inmate goes into jail, their Medicaid benefits are being terminated. And what ACCA is proposing is that these Medicaid benefits only be suspended. One of the big reasons is the mental health of some of the inmates. When they come out of the jail, it takes them 2 or 3, 4 months to get back onto the Medicaid benefits, whereas because their benefits have been terminated. Whereas if they were just suspended, they are hoping that they will continue on their medication and not be a frequent visitor to the jail. That is one cost saving. Them not returning to jail is the theory behind that. Another thing is they discussed with the juvenile justice system. What happens there is the juveniles that are go through court, the Sheriff's Department has to transport them, provide housing, medical, the county, whether they're city, county, state, juveniles. And the logic behind this one is to have more of an equitable financial allocation between the city and the county when a juvenile is the city's. If it's a city juvenile and the city sends them to the county, that the city provide cost for their housing and medical and transportation. The Elmore County contracts with the Montgomery County Juvenile Detention Center for juveniles. But that's just 2 of the areas that we discussed on what was maybe coming in the future to save the county money. Juveniles, mental health, and medical cost on inmates have really become a problem, or increasing cost. Another thing I want to mention, the county has been receiving a law enforcement grant through ADECA for domestic violence for approximately 20 years. And Beverly Stone out at the District Attorney's Office manages this grant, and the FY17 grant was applied for in May of 2016. It's a calendar year grant. We just received last week that it was awarded. Beverly apologizes she couldn't be here tonight, but it didn't get on the official agenda, so I'm asking that it be put on the agenda for the business session to be approved. It's approximately $190,000 grant. It's a 75-25 match. The county commission pays. The county commission and the DA provide the 25% match. It goes to pay for partial 4 Elmore County deputies' salary, 2 prosecutors in the DA's office that travel the circuit, and 3 victim services personnel, 1 in each county in the 19th circuit. This is very helpful to the county. The deputies have to keep up with their time on domestic violence cases. The prosecutors prosecute domestic violence cases, and then, of course, the victim services in each county take care of the victims. But anyway, that's all I have. Do you have any questions, Chairman, Commissioners?
Any commissioners in opposition of us adding the Domestic Violence Grant Award to the business section of our meeting? No objections? Okay, we'll add that. Highway Department, Richie Byer.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I have several items there in front of you. Commissioner Reeves had asked about a good schematic of the Highway 14-143 project, and other than a bunch of construction plans, we had not had anything in our possession until just last week. So you've got a plan view with some aerials kind of giving you a little bit more detail. I know you're getting asked a bunch of questions about where the road's moving. I think everybody I talk to is asking me which way the bridge is going to go, where's traffic going to go, so that should give you a little bit better idea. In addition, at the same event that Ms. McDuffie was speaking of at the ACCA Legislative Conference, a proposal was unveiled for County Roads and Bridge, being termed A-Trip 2. In short, that program as proposed would provide about $19 million for local road projects, not federal aid routes, which is what predominantly was funded under the A-Trip 1 program, or the A-Trip program. There's a lot of bridges that were funded during that project as well, or that program, but this is strictly for local roads. So one of the areas that we spoke about at the very first meeting that y'all were sworn in, that we have about 75% of our roads that are not eligible for any federal grants. This would be a way to get towards those roads. In essence, over a 15-year bond period, the average motorist would pay about $270 for this $19 million that would come into the county. It's less than a nickel a day. That breakdown for $19 million would be about $4 million to our cities based on their population. It would be split, and about $15 for the unincorporated area of the county. So please take a look at that. That is something, as we talk about our infrastructure meeting coming up in January, our legislative meetings coming up in late January as well, something that we are going to be talking more and more about. The last item I have for you in front of you is a copy of the proposed county line and the countywide cleanup days. I believe y'all have heard us talk about over the last 4 or 5 months some changes coming to the countywide cleanup days. It's been a very successful program, but it pretty much has predominantly been an every other month program for 10 sites in the county. A few years ago, we added 2 additional sites on the even months. As of January, an agreement's already been signed with Advance that will change that to every month there'll be 6 sites in the county. 5 will be static. They'll stay in the same locations. There are 5 top producing sites. The 6th one will alternate between the town of Elmore and the town of Coushatta. So that basically the same service area will be serviced, but it'll give some people in the western part of the county, the southwest part, easier access when it's in Elmore, and some when it's in Coushatta. This is a pretty big change, but at the same time, we think this is going to provide a bunch of service improvements for the citizens. It'll also help Advance in terms of the way that they service us through the number of trucks they have and the restrictions on their CDL drivers. So it should be a win-win for everybody. But advertising will start on that in the next week, and I think actually Ms. Kim has already posted it on our website, getting the word out. Signs will be at these locations, so if somebody says, I go to the Central Elmore site on Redland Road, when's the next date, and they're sitting there, you can say, there's a sign there, it'll tell you the exact date, what Saturday it is. So it's typically the 2nd Saturday of every month. There's a couple variations when we hit Labor Day and 4th of July where they fall and they affect the normal pickup. Those items are the only thing I have prepared there. I would like to say, since I didn't get a chance to say it while Jeff was here, I do appreciate Alsite recognizing Elmore County, and I'm very honored, but at the same time, many of the gentlemen sitting behind me, they're my assistants and my highway department employees. are the main reason for awards like this. They're the ones who enable us to get out there and participate in these other opportunities that bring in money to the county, and I greatly appreciate them. And it's nice to be recognized, but I do realize where all that comes from. It comes from past commissions giving me the ability to hire great people, and then those people do their jobs, and I appreciate that very much, Mr. Chairman. Do y'all have any questions of me?
All right, thank you. EMA report, Eric Jones.
Just a couple of topics on projects we're working right now. Right now, we've got a training class we're hosting with the State Emergency Management Agency this week at the EOC. It's an Incident Communications Center Manager Training Course. It'll last today through Wednesday. We've got people from all over the state of Alabama there at our EOC going through the training course, and I think it's excellent to be able to have a facility where we can bring so many people in for excellent training classes. This is one of about 15 or 16 training courses we've done this with this year. We've also got one on January the 16th. We're hosting a crisis management for school-based incidents on January 18th. And then, of course, we've got our CPR AED training class scheduled again for the county employees and other stakeholder agencies for January the 17th. We're also trying to nail down the date for our preparedness fair. We're working with the Board of Education to utilize the Wetumpka High School, and I would appreciate it if you would all put April the 8th on your calendar. That's the date we're shooting for this spring for our preparedness fair. Look forward to having a big time there as well, getting the preparedness message out in the springtime. Also at this time, we've got a MAC group meeting with our fire chief scheduled for tomorrow night. We're going to be going over the damage assessment process and staging and distribution plans that we've got in place. And then we're also in the process of scheduling one with our VOAD organizations for in January. So we've got a lot going on with our MAC group organizational meetings. And then our office is in the process of updating all of our MAC contacts, all of our stakeholder and partner agency contacts right now, and bumping that up against our emergency notification system that we have that we utilize called SwiftReach. So you may get a phone call just verifying that information. And then, like Grace and Richie have mentioned, the legislative conference last week, a hot topic of conversation for us was the task force that Richie and I have been able to serve in with our state EMA director, Art Faulkner, as the chair, and that's the Disaster Resilience and Recovery Task Force that Governor Bentley outlined in Executive Order 19. And there was a lot of discussion last week with our counterparts and Art on the 8 recommendations that came out. I think I've emailed those to you, but I've also got you a hard copy here as well. But just looking through those topics are going to really strengthen the emergency management programs of the state, and that includes all of our partner agencies at the local level and state agencies in emergency management. And it's going to have a tremendous impact. We're going to have a lot of legislative hurdles to tackle next year. It's going to be an exciting year. But it really has some large ramifications for us when we get into non-federally declared incidents where we have to come out of pocket, money out of our general fund to pay for these disasters that are not federally declared, that we won't get any money back on. So I'm really excited with the course basically that we're going to take over the next year, starting with the legislative agenda early next year. Really excited about it and look forward to working with you all on that as well. But do y'all have any questions of me at this time?
All right, thank you.
Certainly.
County Attorney Chris Weller.
I have no additional report, Mr. Chairman, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? All right, we'll go reports from the Commission. Commissioner Holt, anything to report?
I'd just like to say that I did enjoy, and I thought it was very worthwhile to go to the conferences last week. I learned a lot of valuable information, and of course, being a new commissioner, it was very beneficial, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Commissioner Daughtry.
I concur with Commissioner Holt. The classes were very informative, and we have 10 hours down and 40 more to go this year, so we'll get it done. And I'd like to commend Mr. Byer on his award. his and the highway department's award, as he stated, especially you gentlemen sitting behind him, and I can't remember the number of times, in the last few years that has been the case, that our highway department and engineers been recognized. So we're very blessed in Elmore County to have the talent we do in that regard. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Reeves?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say again, Ms. Katrina Mitchell, and glad to have you here with the young people here, seeing what our county government is about. And I think we had 2 young people to come in after they sit down, and if they want to stand, the 2 people that come and stand, say your name, what team you're from.
Over at the end, Katrina.
All right. Thank you. I will say that the one in the purple is an imposter. He's not a member of the youth leadership. That's my son, who's tagging along with a friend. But I am proud of him for being here tonight. I think he's here because he doesn't want to babysit his siblings at home. So, but I appreciate Commissioner Reeves mentioning that we're excited to have the youth here today. Obviously, as you see, there are a lot of things that we discuss here, and there's a lot going on in Elmore County. And what we do as a county commission, in many ways, is for each of you and for your future and for your future families. So I would encourage you to be as active and involved in local government as you possibly can. Learn as much as you can, ask good questions, and find out where you fit and how you might be able to contribute to our county. I want to take a moment to wish everyone here a Merry Christmas. We will not be meeting again until after the new year. I would like to make a note that following the business portion of the regular meeting tonight, the Commission will convene to an executive session to discuss matters of commerce and trade. A few important calendar items, and I'm not going to go through and read all these. Am I obligated to? Okay, you all have them in front of you. Hopefully, all right, we'll let Kim read them.
Thursday, December 15th, which is this week, is the employee Christmas breakfast from 7:30 to 9 a.m. Friday, December 23rd, and Monday, December 26th, the courthouse will be closed for Christmas. Monday, January 2nd, 2017, courthouse will be closed for New Year's. Monday, January 9th is the next commission meeting at 5 o'clock. And Saturday, January 14th will be the first cleanup day with the 5 locations and the 1 location that changes.
All right, thank you, Kim. All right, this meeting's adjourned. All right, we'll call to order our business meeting for Monday, December 12, 2016. We'll begin with an invocation, and I will offer it. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this opportunity to gather together and to discuss matters of Elmore County. We're grateful for the citizens and for those who have participated in our meetings to this point. We're grateful for the safety and comfort that we enjoy and for the opportunity that we have to serve one another. We ask Thee to bless our meetings and our discussions, that we might be mindful of the citizens and of the needs of those around us. We ask Thee to provide us with inspiration and encouragement as we seek to better our community. We're grateful for those public servants and those who watch over and protect us in the military and in our local service men and women. We ask Thee to bless the remainder of our meetings and bless us all with safety this day. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
All right, Pledge Allegiance by Commissioner Dodge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, apologize for adjourning the meeting earlier. That was a pump fake. We didn't really adjourn it, so, rookie mistake. We'll, go to the roll call.
Commissioner Holt,
Here.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Here.
Chairman Stubbs,
Here.
Commissioner Reeves.
All right, regular business. Motion to approve the minutes of the November 28, 2016 commission meeting as presented in the work session.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? All right, Ms. Erb?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Motion to approve the memorandum of warrants for the period of November 19, 2016 through December 10, 2016.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Motion carries. New business. Motion to approve or deny accepting domestic violence grant award and authorizing the chairman to execute.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
All right, motion to approve or deny Pitney Bowes SendPro P1000 postage machine contract and authorize the chairman to execute.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Ms. Erb?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Carries. Motion to approve or deny budget amendment for Sheriff's Discretionary Fund 723.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Ms. Erb?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
Motion to approve or deny ratifying the appointment of Greg Willis to represent the City of Wetumpka on the Elmore County Emergency Medical Services Board.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
All right, carries. Motion to approve or deny the fiscal year 2016 additional EMPG funding for Certified Local Emergency Manager Certification, Cooperative Grant Agreement, and necessary budget amendments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
All right, consent docket. The approval of travel memorandum including attendance at the NACO Legislative Conference by any interested commissioners. Approval of 80-hour sick leave donation from David Henderson to Douglas Cole Cousins. Approved 40-hour sick leave donation from Chris Hancock to Douglas Cole Cousins. And approve the FMLA request for Katie Carey, tag clerk. Is there a motion to approve or deny the consent docket or any items that need to be pulled?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Ms. Kim?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
All right, personnel notifications. Notification of resignation of Kayla Clark, Corrections Officer, effective 12/2/2016. Any additional reports to the Commission? Ms. McDuffie?
Chairman, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Byer?
No, sir.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Weller?
Nothing additional.
All right, we'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session and not reconvene the business meeting to discuss matters of commerce and trade. Mr. Weller, does this meet all the requirements? Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Is there a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Motion. Go ahead. Motion.
Second.
Ms. Erb?
Commissioner Holt,
Yes.
Commissioner Daughtry.
Yes.
Chairman Stubbs.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeves.
All right, we'll adjourn.